Hi. Let's talk about worthiness. Oftentimes, this is the number one block of happiness, of abundance, of love, of everything we desire. It's not that we're not capable of it, it's that we don't believe we're worthy. I know for me, this has been my biggest limiting belief about myself. And I always felt in lack. I always felt like I was doing so much, but just not getting back what I was putting in, in my business. And I felt, resentment in my relationships, and I felt stuck. I felt frustrated. Like, why couldn't I get what I wanted? Why aren't I worthy of receiving? What more do I have to do? And it wasn't a matter of doing more or even receiving more. It was my belief that I was worthy, as is right now. And it was when I started to realize how much that I judge myself and I set expectations of myself. How little I truly accept myself and allow myself to show up authentically. This showed up with, judging myself on how I felt or how I thought about others, especially when I stepped into the spiritual journey of, being spiritual to me, I thought meant, having a high vibration, having, love for everyone and being, just giving others what they needed and never feeling a need to get that back from others. Almost like I had to give myself what I needed at all times to be spiritual. And it was something that kind of really fucked with my mind because I felt bad for wanting things from other people. And there was a big difference between, depending on others as far as like having it be a condition of your happiness for them to give you what you want at all times or be what you want or everything to be perfect for you to be happy versus allowing yourself to receive what you want, being able to give it to yourself too, but also allowing yourself to receive without guilt, without needing to sacrifice, without needing to feel like you have to be perfect in order to receive everything you want. And this is a big trip up with manifestation too. So many teachers out there, I've read about, you have to be in this perfect vibration and you have to, you can't have any limiting beliefs around what you want or else you're never going to get it. Further perpetuating this need to work and sacrifice what you want. Even today, we live in a society that you have to work hard to get what you want. You have to sacrifice or else it's not work. It's not productive unless you feel stressed and, tired. We even have competitions with each other and ourselves about who's more tired at the end of the day. Feeling like we owned it. And this is shown the most right now in this quarantine and we're not able to do things. How is your worthiness coming up? Or unworthiness, I should say. You feel like you can't do anything. You feel out of control. Because you feel like you're not worthy of just receiving something without work. This shows up for me too when what I consider work. I work from home. And oftentimes I feel like I didn't realize I was doing it, but I would only consider work as when I was feeling like, really serious and getting things done, and that was work for me. But so much of the work can be fun. Joy is the process. It's not a effect of getting what you want and working hard for it. Joy is a choice. Worthiness is a choice. And that's what I want to talk about today. And I want to start with just a few questions to think about. You can pause this video and write them down as I go, or you can just wait till after and just jot them down as I talk about them to go after. Either way. But worthiness is one of my biggest blocks that stopped me from truly transforming at the pace I could have. This is why I want to start with this. So one question I want you to ask yourself is, what do you want? What are you wanting in this moment? And when you think about that, what comes to mind first? What you truly want, or what you think you're capable of, or what you think you're worthy of, considering your circumstances or your capabilities right now? What comes to mind? What thoughts come to mind when you ask yourself what you truly want? Do you get resistance? Do you get doubt? Do you get fear? Do you get uncomfortable? Lean into these feelings and allow yourself to truly accept everything coming to mind. Allow yourself to show up authentically right now as you answer this question and the ones after. What's coming up right now? And the next question is, what feelings come to mind when you think about imagine receiving this? And I want you to even close your eyes and really imagine yourself receiving whatever it is that you desire right now. And imagine it with only gratitude, knowing your worth, knowing that you are receiving it. You don't need to give anything or be anyone else but yourself. Imagine the situation playing out. So if your partner giving you more love, imagine that playing out, them saying what you need to hear, and you feeling that gratitude of knowing you're enough and relaxing into it, totally receiving without guilt. Close your eyes and imagine that. Be specific as possible. Because as you do this, you're literally creating a memory in your brain, in your subconscious mind. So as the more you do this, the stronger that program in your mind gets. And it becomes a new normal for you to be able to receive. So practice doing that now. And when you're done with that, really go into the feelings that you experienced. And write those down. Hold on to those. And think about in times now. How often are you able to receive in your everyday life without guilt or without expectation? How much of a receiver are you? What kind of receiver are you? And if you have trouble receiving, what expectations or limitations are you setting on receiving? How do you respond? Do you have to overcompensate? Reflect honestly about how you receive and how you're blocking yourself from receiving. From abundance to love, all that. And then the next question, what expectations do you set on others? Are you truly giving authentically to them? Are you accepting them for who they are? I know for me, for example, is all I wanted was to be accepted, to feel fully loved and not have to be anyone to deserve it. To just be myself and let loose and just feel that total acceptance and love. And I realized that I wasn't giving that. I wasn't giving authentically in that way. So what I would do is, I realized as I grew up like this. I grew up in a home that you needed to please someone in order to be loved, to be shown affection. And if you displeased them, then you get the cold shoulder and you weren't worthy of it. And I realized that I was doing this to my family. The love of my life, I would almost hold expectations of whether or not I was happy and I could feel accepted and loved. I wasn't allowing her to show up as she wanted. I was allowing it, but on the inside I was resentful. And a lot of this was my subconscious mind playing out this story that it created to protect me. And that story was that I had to sacrifice, that I had to be what she wanted me to be for her to be happy, because my happiness depended on her happiness, and that I couldn't receive unless it was in alignment with what she wanted. I was holding myself in this story. And when our subconscious mind has that program or story, we literally perceive things in that way from our outer circumstances. That's how we perceive everything. So even when we do receive, that story doesn't allow us to fully appreciate it. For instance, if I wanted, sex, even if I would receive it, I would still feel like, oh, she didn't want it. Like and I felt guilty. And then oftentimes when I did get everything that I wanted, I would almost find a reason to feel guilty or feel like uneasy because, I was too happy. I didn't deserve it. So I would try and find a reason to either find blame in someone else or, find a reason to worry about something. And we do that because we don't believe we're worthy of feeling joy and freedom and ease. So we're constantly trying to fight our way back to the set point or normal right now, which is stress, which is how you have to sacrifice and all this, which is why when we feel good for too long, we're like afraid of the other shoe's going to drop and something bad's going to happen. Do you feel that too? Like, reflect on that. In what ways are you playing out your story, and what is it? What is your story? What are your beliefs around receiving and feeling joy in life? And see how you're playing those out. How your circumstances now to reality, are playing that back to you or reflecting that back to you. And kind of tap into what resentment are you feeling right now towards yourself, towards others. Just be honest with yourself. Show up authentically for yourself. And that is so key here. Because if you can't allow yourself to be as is in the moment right now, you can't do that with others either. Because you're playing out that story yourself. It is so freeing just to allow yourself to feel and think whatever comes to mind right now. Allow yourself and tell yourself it's okay. That by completely surrendering to your feelings right now and being honest about it, you're able to work through them and you're able to ascend past them by learning from them rather than resisting them and letting them grow. Because when you resist, it persists, it grows. And I remember the first time I did this, it almost put me in I was just releasing. My chest hurt the first time I did this. I'm not doing this to scare you, but it was just so overwhelming. It's how many years, I'm 28, how many years have I pent this up and resisted these feelings? And it was just coming out. It was just this freeing sensation, but at the same time, it was just all these feelings I never allowed myself to feel were coming up. But when you resist, when you just allow yourself and not resist to how you're feeling right now, you give yourself this sense of freedom and acceptance. And even that alone can bring relief. You don't have to be on all the time. And I know this really, perpetuated for me when I started getting into manifestation because I was worried about my vibration being off and not being in perfect harmony and alignment with what I wanted. Holding myself to this expectation of being perfect all the time. So I was afraid to think a negative thought. I was afraid to act a specific way or not follow this regimen of meditation and all that. The moment I just let go of expectations and allowed myself to be as is right now was so freeing. So practice doing that today. Journal about everything you're feeling right now. Express it. And journaling is one of the best ways to do that. Because we feel anger, we feel resentment, because it's pent-up passion, it's pent-up expression. So go within to your inner artist and express yourself in some way. Get those feelings out, and you'll be amazed by how freeing it is. Even if it's playing music or getting into some kind of flow state, working out, dancing, whatever brings you out of your head and just allows you to express yourself is key. And, the next question too is kind of touched on this, but what does giving authentically look like to you? Take a second and imagine what that feels like. Think about how you want to receive and how you want others to treat you. Give authentically. And think about how you can do that for others right now. Because how you treat others is telling your subconscious mind what you're worthy of and instilling those beliefs. So if you're still playing out that story, then you're instilling that belief even stronger in here. And oftentimes, every time you get what you give. So oftentimes when you feel like a victim, you're also the victimizer. And I found this in every situation. You can always find in some way that you're doing that to yourself or to others as well. So think about, what is it like to give authentically to your spouse, your kids, your friends, even yourself? How can you show up authentically? Imagine it, write it out, tap into the feelings, and start doing it today. And you can start by just allowing yourself to show up authentically in each moment. When you get a feeling, you feel yourself resisting, tell yourself it's okay, I love you. This is something you can work through to transcend into a new level of awareness, to love yourself more, to love others more, to be an even better mom or partner. Allow yourself in every moment to be authentic. It's not about being perfect. It's not about trying to judge yourself on what's good or bad. It's not about worth, because we're all worthy. So drop the expectations. And I think that was all the questions I had. But yeah, reflect on that. How can you give authentically? And then to talk a little bit more about, just bring in light, what comes up when you don't feel worthy. Signs to look at. When you don't feel worthy and you're playing out that story in your head, whatever that is, that's your subconscious mind literally creating that reality for you through others, through your thoughts, your feelings. Think of it almost as like a frequency on a radio station. When you dial into 99.9, say that's worthiness and receiving and all that. But you can't experience that if you're down in 93.3, in unworthiness, in resentment, in lack. So you have to be able to create that story, and by toning into the feeling that you want, the feeling that you want to feel, how you want to be. And by simply doing that, especially in the morning, by meditating and just imagining how you want to feel that day. What frequency do you want to turn into that day? Because in that first 30 minutes of waking up, that's when you set the dial. That's when you set the tone for the entire day. And then when you set that tone and you feel it in your mind and imagine it and you get into it, you begin to realize that everything around you, it starts to shape into that story, into the feeling of gratitude or worthiness or whatever, joy. And you start to pick out joy more. People start to treat you differently. You perceive things differently. Because the story, your beliefs, your programs in your subconscious mind are what create your perception of yourself, of others, of everything. Which is why that if you don't truly believe you're worthy, if you're not able to give yourself those feelings that you feel in lack of, you can never fully receive. And that's going to look like, you blaming others for your unhappiness. Because you don't feel worthy, so you're going to make sure that you don't receive what you want. You're going to blame others for it. You're going to feel guilty when you do receive. You're going to find some reason in your head to blame them of, you didn't want to do it, so I can't receive it. Or, whatever it is, I'm not worthy of receiving this, inconveniencing you, or whatever it is. You feel guilt in some way, and you don't allow yourself to feel that because you don't believe you're worthy. You set expectations around receiving and giving, for that matter. You set expectations on what other people are worthy of. I do this all the time. If I catch myself all the time, if someone does something to piss me off or hurt me, I take it as a personal offense. I'm like, well, they're not worthy of my attention, so whatever. We do that. We judge others. We judge ourselves. So what, answering these journal questions are really going to help enlighten you on what you're doing. We self-sabotage in this way. We get ideas and inspirations in our head of, that'd be awesome to do. I could do that. But then we shoot it down because, we're not worthy. That's all our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind's number one goal is to get us from point A to point B. So you set that destination, and it only picks from the past experiences and your beliefs to get you there. So you're going through your past self, your past self, in order to get to an unknown place. So in that way, your subconscious mind cannot take you there unless you start to reprogram. You start to feel those feelings of worthiness and start being that version of you who feels worthy inside, in here, So you can allow your subconscious mind to help take you there naturally, creating a new normal. And I'm going to talk about that a lot. And, resentment's another one, like I mentioned. Overdoing, so constantly thinking you have to do more. So if someone gives you something, you have to return the favor, or you have to do more to make up for that, so it's equal. And if you feel like you want more abundance, you're going to be feeling like you have to do more for it, to work hard. Ask yourself why. Why is it that I don't deserve that? Why is it that I have to work hard? Where did that belief come from? Why can't I just receive? So I'm going to be real with you. The universe, all there is well-being. All there is abundance of everything. Think about in your life. Everything is in abundance. The only thing that is blocking you from you receiving what you want is the limitations you have in your mind, which you can fix, which you can alter. And understand that you've done nothing wrong. Just like when we're kids, we don't know. We learn and then we know. That never stops in life. So start showing up authentically. Be real with yourself on, your lack of worthiness if you have it. And for me, this was a big one. Even up until recently, this quarantine really forced me to go into that. So I'm like, okay, I feel like a sense I want to do more, but I can't do more. And I felt so helpless, and I felt resentment, and I felt all of these things I'm talking about. And it wasn't until I allowed myself to feel and asked myself, why aren't I worthy? And started imagining what it's like to fully receive. And it really hit me hard when I did receive what I've been wanting for so long from my partner. And I still felt guilty. I felt this unease, like I was waiting, like I felt like she was mad at me for doing it, or I felt this unease. I was like, why can't I feel ease? I got what I wanted, but still I feel uneasy about it. And that was because the story in my head, my mind was saying that you have to do something to be worthy of it, or trying to push me back into that normal of that story. And this is what inspired me to really ask myself and look at myself, am I giving authentically? Like, what do I really want? And it's by experiencing that and being authentic about it, and allow myself to feel those feelings and those thoughts, and think and showing gratitude. Because when you show gratitude, you're automatically in acceptance. You're saying like, okay, thank you for letting me feel this so I know more of what I want. Thank you for this because I'm learning the lesson. When you can show gratitude in every moment, you allow yourself the opportunity of growth. Because it's when we resist it that it persists, like I've been saying. So start showing up authentically. Be real with yourself. And search for that better thought of relief. What do you want? What feels better? And just that little shift you'll feel. When you just feel that little sense of relief. I'm not saying go from, sadness to joy all in one jump. But allow yourself to work through it authentically by asking yourself a question and allowing your honest answer to come through. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. And if you want to learn more about this, I'm doing free consult calls. So, DM me, comment below, check out my website, www.conquerfitwithlp.com. You can message me on there. But, I give affordable coaching right now. I've lowered my price a little bit just with everything going on because I want to connect with you all because we all thrive together. And this is something that a lot of times it's just a mind shift. It's a mindset shift. It's nothing more than that. And oftentimes it just takes a new perspective to unlock that. And every time I've allowed a coach or my partner to help me through something, get that new perspective. And even just by connecting with other people and allowing myself to observe them and how they make me feel, I was able to learn so much. So especially with this isolation, it can be so hard to truly grow because we don't have that contrast. We don't have the others to show us so we can learn from them. And that's what these free consult calls are about in my programs. And Fit Mind, Fit Body is all about that. It's about allowing yourself to shift your mind, body, and energy. So shifting yourself so when you get that body, you're already that person on the inside. So your body is a reflection of that best version of you. And, that's what this is about. It's about that. So with that, you have something to think about. Have a great day. And tell yourself, it's okay. I love you. Because you are worthy of everything. The love, the abundance, your desires. You're worthy of it just by having them. You wouldn't be able to desire them if you weren't worthy for it. So remember that.